There are choices you remember making, and then there are the ones you don't. The routines you follow without noticing, the patterns that feel natural until you ask where they came from. Pause. This story isn't about discipline or self-improvement. It's about inheritance, not the kind written into wills, but the kind absorbed quietly, long before consent was possible. From the outside, habits look personal. Morning routines, spending patterns, the way attention drifts. But look closer, and they begin to resemble infrastructure, systems designed once, then repeated automatically. Most habits are not chosen, they are adopted. They arrive through imitation, environment, and reward, through what was available, encouraged, or normalized at the time. By the time they feel like you, they've already been reinforced thousands of times. This is where control becomes subtle, not through force, but through convenience. Consider how often repetition is mistaken for preference. If something is always there, it stops being questioned. If a behavior is rewarded early, socially, emotionally, chemically, it tends to persist even when the reward fades. Over time, habit replaces intention, and intention stops being consulted. The systems that shape habits rarely introduce themselves. They don't announce goals. They simply arrange options, what you see first, what's easiest to access, what is praised, punished, or ignored. None of this requires conspiracy, only alignment. When incentives are consistent, behavior follows. Think about attention, not where it goes intentionally, but where it leaks. Moments filled automatically, silences avoided, discomfort replaced with stimulation. These patterns don't feel imposed, they feel normal. That's the point. The most effective control mechanisms don't demand obedience. They design defaults. Defaults determine behavior more often than beliefs. They work quietly, persistently, and without confrontation. And once a habit is established, it begins to defend itself. It creates explanations after the fact. Justifications that sound like personality. I'm just like this. I work better this way. I don't have time. These statements feel true, but they often describe maintenance, not choice. What's rarely examined is how early conditioning intersects with power. Who benefits when behavior becomes predictable? When attention can be anticipated? When consumption follows familiar loops? Predictability is valuable. It reduces friction. It increases efficiency. But it also narrows possibility. When habits are inherited rather than chosen, autonomy becomes partial. Decisions appear free, but the menu was pre-selected. This doesn't mean individuals lack agency. It means agency operates within boundaries that are rarely acknowledged. Boundaries set by culture, by technology, by economics, by repetition. The more invisible the boundary, the more powerful it becomes. Notice how difficult it is to interrupt a long-standing habit without resistance. Not just effort, but identity discomfort, as if changing behavior threatens coherence. That discomfort is informative. It suggests the habit is doing more than saving time. It's stabilizing a system, and systems resist disruption. What's missing from most discussions about habits is origin. Not how to optimize them, but how they arrived, who introduced them, what problem they originally solved, whether that problem still exists. These questions are rarely asked because they slow things down. They interrupt momentum. But momentum, left unchecked, becomes direction. And direction, over time, becomes destiny. The consequence isn't dramatic loss of freedom. It's gradual narrowing. Less curiosity, fewer alternatives considered. Decisions made on autopilot. Life doesn't feel controlled, it feels efficient. Until something breaks. Until a pause reveals how much has been running without review. This isn't a call to abandon habits. It's a call to audit them, to notice which behaviors were inherited silently, which routines persist without purpose, which defaults deserve revision. Not all control is external, but much of it is unexamined. And what remains unexamined tends to decide the future quietly. So here's the open question. If habits shape outcomes more than intentions, and many habits were never consciously chosen, how much of daily life is truly deliberate? Sit with that. Question what feels automatic. Consider where it came from. And if this perspective added something new, bring others into the conversation. Not to persuade, but to compare notes. Because awareness doesn't begin with answers. It begins with noticing what has been running in the background all along.